So, hello, Facebook group. It's Van here, the dietologist. And tonight I have Cynthia.
Hey guys.
So we've got Cynthia today, and Cynthia is a really precious client of mine. We met, gosh, it must be, is it about just under a year ago?
Yeah.
Through one of my challenges and things that I did when I first opened up the group in March last year, when the first lockdown. And Cynthia booked onto a discovery call.
Yeah.
And she hasn't been able to get rid of me since, really. But Cynthia's got a bit of a story to tell, but I'm going to give everybody a brief. So Cynthia had a gastric band in 2008. If I get any of the dates incorrect, Cynthia,
yeah,
you can slap my wrist over Zoom.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to feel it. So or shout at me, I'll hear you. And things didn't go quite to plan, but we're going to go into that.
Yeah.
And so she had the band removed in 2018.
Yeah.
And then she was on some form of a mission thinking about revisional surgery. And I think that's the point when we met. So I'd like you to tell me about your experience from having the band. So you had the band in 2008. So what had happened at that point in your life? Tell me about your experiences there.
So I think I was so desperate to do something to help me with my weight. But the thought of having something so permanent was really frightening. So when I saw the band, I thought, oh, great, because this is reversible, you know. And although I read all the stuff and everything else, I didn't do the pre-work. Do you know what I mean? And literally, I was on holiday. I phoned the clinic, spoke to the surgeon. I told him what date I was coming back from my holiday. 10 days later, I was in the surgeon's office. And then 10 days later, I was in for surgery to have the band fitted.
So that quickly.
I had no chance to catch up with what I was actually doing. I was still playing catch up. And then I had it done. Although there was some sort of aftercare, it didn't really kick in properly. It was just quite a bizarre thing. And when it came to getting the band filled, it was done by the surgeon. And unfortunately, he just put in what I asked him to put in. And then I never forget that.
Whatever you do, don't mention the surgeon's name, because everybody that's got a gastric band will probably be thinking, I want to go and see that surgeon that will just do whatever I want.
I will say, this is what I will say to anybody. When you're having a gastric band, please make sure you get the right support, because it's not a race. You need to take your time to build up to the restriction, and I didn't do that, but there was no one to tell me otherwise. And that weekend I couldn't even drink water, a sip of water, without being sick. It was an absolute nightmare. And I had to then get an emergency appointment to get it defilled. And it was like, woohoo, you know, I can eat again, I can drink again. So I caused I caused myself an even worse eating problem because of this whole thing with the band. And then I searched and searched and searched, and I found another sort of place that just did aftercare. But to be honest, by the time I got to that point, it was too late, really. Do you know what I mean? Because the damage had already been done. I picked up terrible habits just to be able to survive with having this band. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just stop you just there? Yeah. When you say terrible habits, do you mean that the band was really tight?
Yeah.
So you ended up eating sliders. So it's maladaptive eating. So you're eating things that slide past the band.
Yeah.
And then when we started working together, I was explaining what you should be doing, and it should be more firm, drier meals that really works the esophagus, which that squeezing action is what works the band.
Yes. Exactly.
Exactly.
So crisps was easy to eat, biscuits was easy to eat, chocolate was easy to eat. Anything like that, not a problem. But all the healthy stuff that I actually did want to eat, like, you know, like baked chicken and vegetables and stuff, honestly, nightmare. And if I went out to a restaurant, the anxiety would build up, which of course causes the band to tighten.
Yeah.
And then I'd be sort of picking at stuff. And I always made sure I sat as close to the toilet as possible, because I knew it would get stuck. And then I'd have to run to the toilet and I'd be projectile sick.
Did it affect your social life? Because,
big time.
Right, okay.
Big time. I avoided it like the plague. And then, like, for example, like my neighbours, because a lot of people didn't know I even had the surgery. And my neighbour, who I was quite close to, but even they didn't know. And if they invited me over for dinner, what I would purposely do is put something in the oven, right? And then I'd have an excuse to go back home quickly to go and check on it. But actually, because I knew I was going to be sick because of like the whole eating thing and stuff, it was horrible.
Right.
Absolutely horrible.
Gosh, so it wasn't, so the band was in for about 10 years.
Yeah.
What was the lowest weight you got to?
I lost, I think the most, I lost about, I think 7.5, 8 stone, I think, on the band.
Wow. And how did you feel losing that amount of weight?
Do you know what? It was great, but at the same time, my brain still needed to catch up to that weight, because I felt like I'd gone full speed ahead and I hadn't had that chance to catch up with anything, because I didn't do no prep work. I didn't do no pre-work or what this was going to mean in terms of body changing, how my life was going to be, all of those sort of things. So as much as it was great, it was a nightmare at the same time, because I just couldn't get myself caught up. Do you know what I mean? Like in my body image and all sorts of things. Very strange.
Right.
Very
so then, you know, you must have gone through a process of having the band filled, unfilled, because you probably didn't know what you were doing.
No.
And I think most people, when they haven't had the best support, chase this feeling of a tight band, which I always say means people are looking for something to stop them from eating. And that's not how the band works. The band is there. It's a people think it's a restrictive device. And I know when we've been on here with Mr. Singal, you know, I said it's not, it's a regulatory device. It helps regulate your appetite when it's optimally filled. By that, I mean, when it's at the sweet spot. And it does take time to build up to that level. But each time you have a fill, it takes you to that sweet spot for that specific amount of time. And it might last 3 months, 6 months, might last longer, shorter. And then you get it adjusted again, because there's a fat pad underneath the band. So as you start to lose weight, that fat starts to shrink. So the band loosens up, and that means you're ready for a fill. But you must be eating the right texture. So, you know, whenever you have a band adjusted, you want someone to be talking about, you know, what sort of meals are you eating? What are the textures like? How long is it taking you to eat your meals? And then how quickly are you getting hungry again? Because we also need to check, is it head hunger or is it stomach real hunger? Do you think you had a lot of head hunger?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I know that now. Do you know what I mean? At the time, I think I felt like I just had to eat as survival mode, and just to kind of, because I was always being sick and stuff. But when I sit and reflect, especially during the work we've done, like it was definitely head hunger, because I was just not experienced with it at all. You know?
Well, the thing is, I think, you know, that the band, it was gifted to you. Right, so you know, you were given a gift, and it was right, I want it. You booked that call. We can definitely get you to lose weight with a gastric band. That's the way that's marketed. But I think what people forget is that, one, it takes time to get the result that you want. Secondly, support is really important, and not just post-surgery support, preparing for that surgery. And I think that's the bit that's always lacking. And let's see what we can do to change that in supporting patients that are thinking about surgery and having surgery. So it got to what points, at what point did you realize that this band had to be removed? Had you put all the weight on again, or what had happened?
So what had happened was, I was so fed up of being sick, and I had been so unwell. And I ended up being so sick at one point that because you know, when you're being sick and then the bit that goes down to your lungs and stuff, the tubes are very close together.
Yes, you had the reflux.
And what had happened was, I was feeling very, very unwell. My GP sent me for a scan and there was a shadow on my lung. So I remember getting that call and I was like, oh my God. And she said, we need to investigate more. Then they thought I had TB because of the way my body was and where I was presenting. And actually what it was is where I'd been sick so much, it had caused an abscess in my lung. And they gave me they put me in a room by myself because they thought I had TB. They gave me these antibiotics, and it was antibiotics that they gave patients when they didn't know what they were actually dealing with.
Yeah.
And I was due to be going away to Cape Verde for my friend's surprise 40th birthday. Oh my God, it was mad. And they gave me these antibiotics, and then you could see this thing started to shrink, and that's when they realized it was an abscess and stuff. So he gave me the go ahead to travel. He said, but you need to be really, really careful. So I'd made up my mind when I came back from that trip that I was going to get all the saline removed from the band because I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
The holiday I went on, I think I ate twice for the whole 10 days.
Now, some people might be thinking, that's fantastic, but really it isn't. It isn't.
It isn't. I was being sick so much that they had to call an emergency doctor the day before we were flying back and to give me an anti-sick injection. At one point they were saying that I might not be well enough to fly.
Well, flying also disrupts the band a little bit. You know, for some people, if they're really sensitive to the adjustments, you have to have the band aspirated before you fly. Not for everybody, but for some people, they do. Or you have to stick to liquids.
Yeah. I think the time that I was good was when I was drinking water with lemon throughout the whole trip. I had to be spoon-fed medication, all sorts of things. It was such a tough, and I thought, you know what, this is just ruining my life now. It's just not worth it. I need to rethink this. So I then went to another private clinic, and I went in and I asked the doctor, nurse doctor, to remove all the saline out of my band.
Right.
And
And at what weight were you at when you had the fluid removed from your band? Were you at one of your lowest weights?
Right. So I had lost, I think it was almost 9 stone by that point.
Wow.
I think, yeah. So it was almost 9
stone and dehydrated.
Yes.
Not a great look.
No, lack of nutrition. I was sick all the time with colds. I remember my brother-in-law saying to me, you're always sick. You're always getting cold. You're always under the weather. And again, another thing that I didn't know was I had to maintain vitamins and minerals and all this stuff. I just had no clue. And had I known all of that from the beginning, I think things would have been quite different. But then I also think that sometimes you have to go through certain journeys to understand and realize, because then I wouldn't have met you. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, through your pain, we did meet,
Exactly. And then slowly, the weight started to creep back on because, of course, it was like freedom. But even though it was kind of like freedom, because the band was still in situ, I still had this slight restriction. So sometimes if I was eating, sometimes the food would still get stuck. So again, then I started to drink water to push it through. And then I picked up that habit, which I talked to you about, where I had to be drinking and I wouldn't eat without water next to me and all this sort of stuff. And then I started doing like so many different diets, the Cambridge and stuff. And then I started doing this thing called metabolic balancing. And the dietitian, I was explaining to her all the stuff that I had and whatever. And she said, you know what, you need that band removed. You really do, because it's hindering everything that you're doing. So fortunately, she knew like one of the top people in Homerton Hospital. So she wrote quite a stern letter to my GP and explained everything. And then my GP and that they agreed to fund for me to get the band removed. So then I had it removed in 2018.
Right. And then when did we meet? It was last year?
Last year, yeah. So I had the band removed, had fun for a bit, and then was like, no, Sue, you're going way in the wrong direction. Then did the Cambridge diet, which is now called 1-to-1 or whatever it's called. Lost loads of weight on that. kept that off for a while. But it was this portion control thing that I just could not get my head around. It was great doing the diet, I was managing, but then when I came off it, it was like, okay, what do I do now?
And I think people that go on diets, and especially restrictive ones like Cambridge Light Life and, you know, low calorie, it's like, and especially if you've had a band and then it's been released, you are like a cage lion that's been let out, you know, it's like, right, give me everything and anything, you know.
Definitely.
And I think when we started to work together, one of the things I said is that, one, we have to prepare you for revisional surgery. Secondly, you know, I was talking about a gastric bypass because it was the gold standard, but you were really adamant that you wanted to sleeve. And I said, well, you know, you've got to discuss that with the surgeon. And you were even thinking about having surgery abroad at one point, and then you decided against that. And, you know, you had surgery in the UK in the end. You had a sleeve, but we spent a good, how many?
Yeah, so from September last year.
Yeah. We've been working together to get your mind in the right place. So managing your expectations, understanding how this new surgery is going to work for you and how it's going to feel very different, but also understanding that because it's a secondary procedure, that, you know, maybe, I mean, the weight loss might be better, it might not be, but just to make you prepared. And I think when you manage someone's expectations, do you think that's made a difference to how you feel about, I mean, this surgery is really new, you know, you had it literally, was it 4 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago, yes.
2 weeks ago, right, okay. So it's still very, very new. However, did you feel prepared this time?
So prepared. This has been a completely different journey. I knew what I was getting myself involved in. I knew that my mindset had to change. And I wasn't, and I think I said this to you, I wasn't prepared to do the op until I got my mind right and my brain right and really understanding the surgery and the journey I was going to take, because I knew this was a permanent change. My stomach can't go back. Do you know what I mean? So I knew that no matter what, I really had to understand in my mind, my body, my soul, what I was actually going to be doing, and that this was a lifetime change. And it's a tool, but it's not the all answer. I have to do my work to work with the tool so that I have a good, do you know what I mean, outcome and can enjoy life, you know, but not, you know, with the mammoths of foods and stuff, but not feeling like I'm missing anything at the same time.
Yeah, because we had to do a lot of work. Well, I had to do a lot of work with you, and you had to do a lot of work yourself with me helping you to help change your relationship with food, because a lot of people think the surgery is going to do that for them. And it might feel initially in the first couple of months, it's the honeymoon period, and it feels like the surgery is doing all the work for you. And you might just think, yeah, I've cracked it. This surgery is going to sort it all out for me. And then boom, the hunger starts to return, your old habits start to creep back. And then you're thinking, what the hell is going on? But I prepared you for all of that.
Exactly.
And we also worked on that dieting mindset, which was so fixated in your mind, in your thoughts, in your feelings, and all your emotions. And it was really dragging you down, you know, and I hope I've helped you create some balance.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, it was my sister's wedding yesterday, and that's a prime example, because we talked about what would be the best thing for me to eat and all the rest of it. And it was such a nice feeling to have a starter and a main. But my starter, I actually didn't eat all of my starter because I wanted to make room for my main. And also, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I had to finish it. It was just, I felt in control mentally. Do you know what I mean? For the first time in my whole life, I would say, when it comes to food. Like, I sat there and I thought, do you know what? I've had enough. And it was, you know, it was a melon, watermelon and fig salad. And I literally went for the softest parts of that salad and I left the harder parts. And it was like, it's okay. I'm going to kill you not to have it. Do you know what I mean? But it felt so good. And I just put it to one side, and my son's looking at me with a side eye because I think he's still adjusting as well, because like he's used to mummy in the big meals and stuff. And suddenly I'm just eating these really small meals. And it was great because the main was monkfish. It was cooked beautifully. It was very soft. It was a very small portion, which was a perfect size. But I was able to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? And not feel like I've gone too far. And I just felt so content. And then when the dessert came, didn't even entertain it. I just left it. I left it for my son to eat it. Do you know what I mean? But it felt good because I took that decision. It wasn't because of it wasn't because of my surgery, even though that played a part in it. I mentally made that decision that I wasn't going to eat all my starter. I was going to have my main and not have the dessert, and that's okay.
And we'd discussed that before you went to the wedding, and you were going to choose some other options. And I said, no, don't choose that, because you will feel really unwell and you don't want to feel unwell.
And I'm so glad that I listened to you.
The other thing, well, that's I love it when people listen to me. Sometimes, not always, but if you can listen to me 80% of the time, you will get the results that you want. There's something really important that you mentioned there. So you said something about your son and how he's looking at your meals and thinking, how the hell can you survive on so little? Now, if you're just joining us, just to make it clear, Cynthia had a gastric band. It didn't quite work out. It was in there for 10 years. She has now recently is it 3 weeks? 4th of May?
Yeah, so 3 weeks yesterday.
Yeah. So 3 weeks ago, she had a sleeve. And so she's fairly new to surgery, but we've been working together for quite some time on the mindset, because Cynthia was very much into dieting, yo-yo dieting. But it wasn't just about that. It was also about her relationship with herself. And I really do believe, as women, our weight can get us so down that, it makes us feel that we don't fit into society, we're not worthy, we don't deserve things. And I think one of the most difficult things that women find is investing in themselves. They want to do everything for their kids, their husbands, their partners, their family, their friends, but they really struggle to invest in themselves. And we were just having a quick conversation before we went live, and we were just talking about, when you have surgery, people think investing in the surgery is going to be the solution to their problems with their weight, but only later to find out. What would you say that it probably isn't the whole solution, that there's a support, changing the mindset, because surgery does about 30% of the work, giving you that physical restriction, helping you control real hunger, but the mindset, it doesn't change your habits and behaviors, and that's but sometimes I find it that I'm a broken record trying to inform people of that. But why do you think women, well, not just women, anybody that's having weight loss surgery, why do you think that they don't worry about the support aspect of it? So you weren't aware of it when you had the gastric band, so you just thought the band was going to do all the work. But I think this time round, you were thinking really differently.
Yeah, very differently. I think because of the experience that I had with the band, and by the time I did find support, although it was too late, I remember thinking to myself, if I'd had this support at the beginning, things would have been so different. And at that time, it was groups that you went to, sort of thing, and you was with people that had also gone through the surgery. There were some people that were struggling and were considering a revisional, which was a bypass at the time. I don't think even the sleeve existed. And I thought, oh my God. And at one point I was adamant I was never going to have weight loss surgery again. But I had to accept that I needed the help. And I said, do you know what? Before I go and do that surgery, I need to do the prep mental work before, but I also need that guidance after. Because one thing I know with me is that getting the weight off is not always the problem. It's the continuing and being consistent and having that support afterwards to maintain the weight loss. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I made that promise to myself, and I'll say to anybody, the support is equally or more important than the surgery, because if you don't do that prep work before, you're not going to be mentally prepared. Then it's going to be such a shock to the system, and then you're like and then having that support afterwards, I feel so much better that I've got you like on this journey with me. Do you know what I mean? And I've said it to my sister and said, you know what? I'm so glad that I worked with Van beforehand, because I was so prepared, so super. Like, I went in there excited. When the surgeon saw me, he was waving at me. I think he must have picked up my energy, because I'm so excited, because I knew what I was going for. I knew what I was heading for. I knew this was going to be a life change. I knew it was going to be work as well, because I had to do my part. But I was ready for it, because
and you know the excitement and fear create the same hormones in your body, but it's what you tell yourself. So you can say to yourself, I'm absolutely crapping my pants, I'm about to have surgery, and you will be in the negative mindset. Or you can turn it around and say, I'm really excited, I'm ready for this surgery. And your mindset, the wording that you've used and the wording that the brain has heard is going to be very different to how you react. So how you recover after surgery is very different as well, compared to if you're really scared and you're like, oh my God, or you've been really indecisive, or you're really anxious. You know, the outcome can be slightly different. So I'm really glad when you said that. I remember we had the conversation after you'd come out, and you messaged me as well to say, Van, I'm out and everything's okay, which is great to hear. But you said, I was really excited, and I think the surgeon picked up it, and it's all about energy, and you might find it a bit woohoo, but it is what it is. Now I've just got a comment here from Naisha. She's in the group, and she's just said, this is very insightful, and thanks for sharing your experience, Cynthia. I've just been banded 8 months now, and this is helpful. So I think, Naisha, the message is that, you know, preparation is key, and support is key, and not chasing a tight band, you know, and it is a lifestyle change.
It really is a lifestyle change. And once you get your head around the fact that it's a lifestyle change, not a prison sentence. I think for me, it felt like a prison sentence, but that's because I didn't have that pre-work to understand that actually it's not a prison sentence. It's just that you need help to live a healthier lifestyle. If you the sooner you change your mindset and understand that it's a lifetime change, the easier the journey is. Do you know what I mean? Because yesterday at a wedding, prime example, if I hadn't have had this surgery and I hadn't had that mindset and all the rest of it, I tell you, not kid you not, whatever food we had there, I probably would have ordered more food and all this kind of stuff, and then felt like absolute crap afterwards. But I can't explain how good it felt just to eat what I say is normal, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but eat a healthy portion of food, feel content, feel happy, but knowing that I made that decision myself and felt good about that decision. And it felt like a natural decision, because I know I've got that tool to support me as well. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, yesterday I was in clinic. Well, clinic is at home, like it is over Zoom. But I don't mind. I'm at home. Something I've always wanted to do. And I was talking to one of my clients, and they were talking about their post-surgery now, and they were talking about how they observe everybody eating, and they're very critical. Did you do that at the wedding?
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I don't know if I will. I think because I'm so just sort of...
You're in your own lane.
I am. I'm not interested, not in a horrible way. I'm just doing me. And this is the first time I'm actually doing me, and I'm loving doing me. So as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, whatever anybody else is doing, it's not my business, it's not my problem. It's nothing to do with me, you know.
And you know, this is music to my ears, hearing Cynthia say this, because when I first met Cynthia last year,
Mm.
she was doing everything for everybody. And one of the things I said is self-care doesn't mean being selfish.
Yeah.
Don't confuse the two
And that's what I
terms.
used to do a lot.
And I said, if you are really serious about having a further surgery, if you are really serious about getting healthy, then this has to stop.
Yeah.
And you have to manage it. And you're going to have to really put that oxygen mask on you. And you were putting that oxygen mask on everybody but yourself, and you were suffocating when we first met.
Yeah.
Do you think that oxygen mask is on you now?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Great.
And I'm not bothered. I don't feel like, oh my God, I don't feel guilty or anything like that. It's just such a nice feeling. And part of me is like, why did I do this before? But of course, life and however your character's your character, isn't it? And the thing is, it doesn't mean I don't care. It's just that I love me more. And it's important to love me more so that I can be happy and progress and do what I need to do, you know? So yesterday, I mean, we were discussing foods and things like that.
That's normal.
But that's normal. But it was nice that it was that normal sort of like, do you know what I mean? I even went as far as saying to my cousin-in-law, oh, do you want some of my starter, like the melon? She was like, no, it's fine. And I kind of had a little giggle to myself, and I thought, hold on a minute, you
show my food.
Your food. You never do that.
How amazing is that? But I think not only did we talk about you putting the oxygen mask on yourself, you also started a business, a wedding business in the middle of lockdown.
Yeah, I did.
How amazing is that? And I mean, I know you were thinking about it and you were going to do this and you were going to do that, but there was something, I think you were procrastinating about the surgery. You said, oh, Van, I'll do it after I've been on this course. And I went, okay. Are you sure you really need to do this course? Are you delaying the surgery? And we had quite a real good heart-to-heart that day, didn't we, about what was really going on?
Yeah.
What was really going on at that point?
Yeah, I still was, although I knew what I wanted to do, it was that sabotage. You know, he talks about sabotage and stuff. It was a pattern. Like, I know I need to do something. I know it's the right thing to do, but there's that part of me that just sabotages it, subconsciously or unsubconsciously, I'm not sure. So I had that Dubai trip, that wedding planning conference as my excuse. But the joke of it is that it kept getting postponed and postponed. And then when we had that heart-to-heart and stuff, and I thought, you know what, Van's right, you know, because the bottom line is, it don't matter when that wedding planning conference is, that shouldn't have an impact on when I'm going to take this journey. If I really want to take this journey and really do this self-care and look after myself and get healthy again, because that's what it was about for me. I just want to be healthy and just live a normal life and just be able to do the average thing of Joe blogs and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? No, I'm not delaying this anymore.
No.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, man, I've booked this surgery.
I know. And I think one of the reasons why you were subconsciously sabotaging, because all of a sudden, and this is very common for a lot of people, and they do it before and they do it after surgery, it's that fear of everything that you're going to give up because you were using food to suppress every emotion that you could possibly think of. And we went through all of them. It's like, yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me. So all of a sudden you had to accept, wow, I'm actually going to have to listen to Van and take on the advice that she's given me about how I'm going to manage my emotional eating. But it's that fear that all of a sudden I'm not going to be able to have X, Y, and Z. But then I said to you, we need to create balance so that you can have X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
And you will be eating X, Y, and Z, whatever that is, because life is about creating balance. And it's not about the black and white thinking or the all or nothing mindset that was there. And you know what? That will keep coming and going. But each time you learn a lesson from it. And, you know, it's about understanding how to manage it. Now I've just got Lavina on here as well, and she says, hi all, this is a fantastic session. So Lavina, lots of mindset coaching, but she's gone from zero to hero, and she's still, you know, so it's really nice to, for me, I just get a kick out of you girls all transforming, and the few men that I have on my books. But it's just, for me, when it comes to, I always ask, one of the questions that I ask, and I know that I asked somebody this question yesterday, that what does happiness mean to you? Because people think the weight loss is what's going to make them happy. And then when they get the weight loss, they realize they're not happy. And that's because there's a whole load of other stuff going on in their lives. And all of a sudden, they haven't got food to use to help them make them feel better. So I always say, so if you could define happiness, what would that happiness mean to you now? Would it be a certain size, a certain health, a certain shape? You know, would it be where you're living, that family? What is happiness? Because I truly do believe everyone thinks it's weight, and then they get there and it's not weight. No. Because you could get to your ideal weight and you'd be like, but I still want more, I still want this. And
exactly. I mean, for me, being healthy, being really, really healthy again, that is going to make me immensely happy. And I'm already feeling the signs of get that healthiness back. Do you know what I mean? Being.
How does it relate to your business? Because I think I know I'll be really happy when I see this all really, I mean, I know it's taken off already.
Yeah. I think for me, because, you know, being a wedding planner and events planner is very demanding physically, mentally, emotionally, and all the rest of it. But to be able to do an event, run up and down like a headless chicken as normal, is going to be the biggest joy for me. Because right now I can do it, but I can't do it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's restricted. My weight is restricted to me, and my weight has restricted me in being out there in my business. Do you know what I mean? So I've really had to push through a lot of fears and just say, I'm going for it no matter what. And I think that also, coupled with making the decision about my surgery, because it's like, well, what do you want? You want to do this business, you want to be out there, but then you're sabotaging the whole delaying the surgery. But actually, it all goes hand in hand. Do you know what I mean? It all goes hand in hand. And knowing now that I've done the surgery, I'm on that road to better health. Now I know, I feel like I'm really pushing myself out there more now, really like making my business known, my face known, and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm not shying away. And that's what makes me happy. You know?
And I think, you know, when you're not happy, you hide behind, you know, a screen, don't you? You don't put your face forward. And in business, as I'm learning as well, you have to show up. You've got to show your face. People want to see, and they want to see you authentically. So, you know, if you see me saying a bad word, that's me, you know, and it's because I'm using it because I want to get a message across. And you know, you do have to show up. So look, what would be your advice? So if anybody was thinking of having revisional surgery, or thinking about surgery, or has recently had surgery, and they might be struggling, or maybe they think they don't need support, what would your advice be?
Right. So for those that haven't had surgery yet, please do the prep work. It's going to make your journey so much better, so much easier to understand, especially like the whole sort of the food changes, whatever surgery you go for, be it band, bypass, sleeve, you know, the food changes, the mindset, the textures, adjusting, you know, getting your brain engaged with your body, so as you lose weight, you're in line with everything, so that you don't have this body, what they call it, body dysmorphia, and things like that. You've got to do the prep work, because the way I look at it, if you're going to spend that money to have the operation, you might as well add the extra and do the whole caboodle and do the whole package. Then that makes it so much more worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? And I honestly, like, I'm so glad I followed my mind and searched, and literally you came up in Google, and I'm looking, I'm thinking, oh,
I'm still trying to work out how people find me on Google, because
yeah.
still don't let me understand it, but still it's fine. I'm glad I showed up.
And you know what? I remember our discovery call, and as soon as we started talking, we clicked instantly. I didn't search again after that. I was like, she's my woman, 100%, because I just knew you got me instantly. You picked up stuff that I hadn't even mentioned. Do you know what I mean? And it just settled my heart. And I thought, right, okay, this person is going to be really helpful and support me in getting my mindset right, so I'm fully prepared. So a lot of people said to me, my God, you only had the op 3 weeks ago, but it's like you had it like 6 months ago, a year ago. You've really recovered. I said, because I did all the work beforehand. So I was so prepared for what was going to happen, the stages that it was going to happen and stuff. Nothing is a shock for me. Nothing is a surprise for me. Do you know what I mean? But also, anyone that has had the op and is like, oh, I don't need the, trust me, it makes such a huge difference, because when you have that support on that journey, if you're struggling with something, you've got someone there that can really guide you, because they're the experts. They know you. I mean, Van, you've been doing for over 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So you know your stuff. Do you know what I mean? And you know, like the dinner thing is a prime example. You said don't have the burrata, and I'm glad I listened to you, because I was told otherwise elsewhere, and was told, no, that might be the better option. I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to listen to you. And I'm so glad I did, because I don't know if I'd be well enough today to kind of,
I said, do not have the burrata.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I didn't, because I saw their faces when they were eating it, and it was so rich. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, with the support afterwards, it's that nurturing, because it's a journey. Do you know what I mean? It's a lifetime journey. But if you can get that nurturing, especially for like the first year, 18 months, by the time you get to that end of that 18 months, you would have learned so many things. You would have had that coaching, you would have had that support. So when that 18 months ends, you're going to feel, right, I can do this now. I can go on and I can do this. And this journey is going to last me that lifetime. And at the end of the day, you know, we're all human. We all have our ups and downs. We all have our good days, our bad days, whether we have surgery or not. But having that support, because I know if I've ever had a bad day and we've got a session, I know I can say to you, Dan, oh my God, I had a really bad day. And you may tell me off, but the way you'll tell me off is not in the way like I've done something really bad. You'll be like, okay, shit happens, but you know next time that you've got to do X, Y, Z or whatever. And then it's something that you learn, because it's a learning curve.
Yeah, you know, I really do believe that everything happens for a reason, and it's you're being directed by the universe. So, you know, if, you know, the conversation, it was just by luck that we had that call and you asked about the menu, but I'm sure you would have contacted me anyway.
Yeah, I would have definitely.
So you know, but look, of course, you know, one of the reasons why I decided to create the dietologist was to combine the psychology and the nutrition together. So you had that support all in one, rather than having two different people giving you two different bits of advice and two different costs. You've got it combined in one. And luckily, I do have an 18-month support package. And I know, you know, if anybody wants to book in for a discovery call, they're very welcome to find out, because I want to find out about you and then sort of probably guide you with what sort of support package that you might need. But there's something else that I've created, and I've been talking about this to people that were in the membership that I have created an 8-week program, which is going to have 6 months of support attached to it. So, and it's going to go from getting the foundations right. So it's for people that haven't had surgery, that are thinking about surgery, people that have had surgery, people that have suffering with regain, and people that have had surgery and then later on thinking, actually, I need some support. And it starts right from the beginning, so you know exactly what your surgery is going to do, how it's going to work for you, to working with your surgery, the surgery working with you, and then there's like about 5 weeks of mindset coaching. And within that program, there's also twice a month you get a group call with me, so you can ask me any questions, or if there's a topic that you guys want covering, I will do that. So, and I think that will be possibly a more affordable support. And in all honesty, I am looking for 15 women to take part in that as a test group. So if you are interested, in the comments, pop test group and I will DM you with some information. But again, I'm a one-man band. I have got an assistant and someone that's helping me a bit with my social media, but I thought it was going to make my life quieter, but I've actually getting busier with other, you find things to do that need doing, and so forth. And Cynthia, I am going to be your biggest supporter in your business, because I know every little pain point that you are going through with that. And luckily, we've talked about the fact that food isn't going to resolve those problems. You've got to take action, and you've got to take massive action, just like you did by making that choice of having revisional surgery, and the fact that you wanted to work with me, which is an absolute honor for me to work with you. And you've just decided, I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is it. I'm going to make sure this emotional eating and my problems with my weight and my health are managed well, not just for the next 18 months, forever.
Exactly. And one thing I will say is, like, whoever's listening, invest in yourself. This is about investing in yourself, your life journey, being happy, being healthy, and living a fulfilled life. We only have one life, and we need to live it to the fullest, you know. And if it means paying that bit extra to have that support to get to where you want to get to, trust me, it's worth every penny. It's worth every single penny, honestly. So, ladies and gents, please, please, I couldn't say it enough. Get that support. Whatever stage you're at, get that support, because it's really going to make a massive difference. Because this time round, I know I'm going to do this, and I know this is for life. Do you know what I mean?
And you're only going to do it once.
Exactly.
You're only going to do it once.
I'm not doing this again. I have no intention of doing this again. And I think, you know, before I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. It'll be fine. I can do it. But you can't. You know, you need that support. And there's no shame in getting support, because some people feel a bit like, oh, no, I don't need support. It's fine. I can do it on my own. But listen, you have to work together. Getting support, there's no shame in it. And the fact that you are one, like, it's the psychology part plus the dietitian part, it was perfect, because that's exactly what I needed. Do you know what I mean? Because the two go hand in hand. Because as much as we don't think we do emotional eating, trust me, we really do. And I remember our session, I was like, I don't emotionally eat. No, I don't emotionally eat. But actually, that was my main thing, was emotional eating. And once I got my head around that made such a difference. And I really stop and think now, if I want to eat, why am I eating that?
Yeah, there was a lot of denial, but there's no denial at all now. I can't stop you. You know,
no, there's none now. No.
But look, Cynthia, I really want to thank you for your time, because I know you are exhausted, because not only were you at was it your sister's wedding?
Yeah.
You organised it, and
I did.
She was the wedding organizer. So I'm going to let you rest, but thank you ever so much for your time. And well, I'll be speaking to you again anyway in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
And if you are watching the replay, put replay in the comments and enjoy. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cynthia.
No problem. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.